After an unforgettable experience in Avila, the Non-Stop Travel group headed to the city of Salamanca, where we check into the Hacienda Zurita Wine Hotel and Organic Farm. A former monastery located along the Tormes River, Hacienda Zurita's history dates back to the 14th century. In fact, a well-known figure that spent a bit of time here was the Christopher Columbus before his journey to the New World in 1492. Beautifully serene surroundings, rustic and luxurious rooms, and impeccable design all throughout this oasis felt magical. Staying at the Hacienda Zurita was definitely one of this trip's highlights. The beautiful villas are surrounded by vineyards, which directly correlated to our nighttime activity, a very informative and entertaining wine tasting class. Paired alongside an amazing gourmet dinner and dessert, all in attendance seemed pretty satisfied. I did notice that some of our Hawaii guests continued their wine sipping and sampling well after our educational course had concluded.
Salud. Salud. How are you enjoying the wine?
It's good, but I'm getting red.
She reflects the color of the wine that she drinks.
Yeah. I think I drink a lot. It's not only a little bit, it's a lot.
I normally like red, but I really like the white here.
Oh,
It's really good.
is that your preferred one at home?
No,
Oh,
I like red.
don't tell Red at home that. It's kind of sensitive times right now. You know, you never know.
I'm not usually a wine drinker, but I do like the white.
Oh, okay.
White, yeah.
Okay.
It's smoother to me,
Okay.
and I don't know. It makes me feel warm. I don't know if I'm
Warm.
red now, but yeah.
But you still have jacket on, so I think that's an indication you got to drink a little bit more. Yeah?
I have two varieties, one white, one red.
Bottle?
Glass.
Glass? Okay. Okay. Now, I was admiring when I walked over here this dessert dish. It looks like it's been completely decimated, and that's how I would eat.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Really fine.
So nobody's paying attention right now, but how many glasses have you had so far?
One. Just one.
One? Bottle or glass?
One.
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 Just have one glass.
One.
One.
One. She's sticking to that's her story. Red or white?
Yeah. White.
Oh.
The one that's not here on the table.
Our morning started with an amazing breakfast here at Hacienda Zurita, and needless to say, none of us wanted to check out. After an unforgettable experience here, we were on our way to Portugal. One of my favorite things about road trips while traveling is getting to check out rest stops, and the one here in Portugal had very unique items for sale. These were quite popular. Non-Stop Travel tour manager Cora led the group of paella pan purchasing peeps with a promise of a paella party and potluck that would occur soon after returning home from this trip. 3 months later, still no invitation. Other particularly interesting items, butterfly knives that aren't quite legal here, and replica airsoft guns. These specific gift items are not recommended for travel. As Iberian ham was very popular here, of which I became a fan after my first bite, you have a great selection to choose from, as well as many beverages.
Hey, Mark, what you found over there?
I was telling you that you need to get one of these for the end of the trip.
Oh, yeah. Sangria. Look at this. Yes.
Located in central Portugal, Fatima was our first visit. The beautiful and awe-inspiring sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima is one of the most important Catholic pilgrimage sites in the world. The sanctuary features two large churches, the Basilica of Our Lady of the Rosary and the Basilica of the Holy Trinity, located at each end of the panoramic promenade. Millions of visitors from around the world come here each year, some walking from as far as Lisbon, which is over 80 miles away. Many of those that make the pilgrimage here walk on their knees from the Basilica of the Holy Trinity to the chapel as a sign of reverence and devotion. Here in May of 1917, the Virgin Mary appeared to three young children, Lucia dos Santos and Francisco and Jacinto Marto. Mary's visitations would occur 6 more times over 6 months from May to October 1917, sharing 3 visions and prophecies with the children.
Fatima in 1917, nobody heard of this place here. And it was, very farmers living in here, few farmers actually, and sending their children, and they come down with their sheep and goats coming down the slope here, passing by where the oak tree was. And they saw the Virgin Mary, a rosary in her hands, and telling them to go and tell people to pray and tell them to come back. She will be coming back for the next 6 months.
Word spread quickly about the visitations, and the appearances culminated in an event witnessed by over 70,000 people on October 13, 1917. Stormy weather drenched those in attendance as it had rained for 3 days straight. The rain suddenly stopped, and blinding multicolored lights beamed through, danced around the sky for 10 minutes, and then disappeared.
People who are sick, handicapped, came on a wheelchair, they came here looking for a cure. Those people who had been handicapped walked back home, and that was the miracle of Fatima.
The apparitions and events here at Fatima were officially recognized as miracles by the Roman Catholic Church in 1930. Another highlight at the site, located at the eastern entrance of the grounds, is an actual fragment of the Berlin Wall. Built in 1961, the wall separated Soviet-controlled East Germany and the Allied-controlled West. The wall was torn down in 1989. It's befitting that the wall, once a symbol of strife, turmoil, and ideological separation, would now find its home in the peaceful and tranquil surroundings of the Our Lady of Fatima Sanctuary. Also known as the City of Seven Hills, Lisbon, the English name for Lisboa, is the coastal capital city of Portugal, Spain's neighboring country alongside the Iberian Peninsula. Located on the Tejo River, which flows right into the Atlantic Ocean, Lisbon has been named one of the top 10 cities to visit. After Athens, Greece, Lisbon is the second oldest capital city in the world and the oldest nation-state in Europe. Like many of the cities we visited in Spain, Lisbon was initially ruled by the Romans. In fact, Lisbon is estimated to be 400 years older than Rome. The GLOBUS and Non-Stop Travel group would soon discover that Lisbon's reputation for its vibrant colors, impressive cultural architecture, culinary delights, nightlife, and friendly people was very well deserved. As we drove to our first destination, we passed by a number of key historic sites and structures. The Torre de Belém, or Belém Tower, is a ceremonial gateway to Lisbon and was the point of departure and return for many of Portugal's famed explorers in the 15th and 16th centuries, including the Vasco da Gama, the first European to sail directly to India, establishing trade and Portugal's colonial expansion from Africa to Asia. Connecting Lisbon and Portugal's Almada city is the 25 de Abril, or Tejo River Bridge. This monumental structure is the 5th largest suspension bridge in the world, and along with Lisbon's trolleys and hills, reminded me a lot of San Francisco. Inspired by Rio de Janeiro's Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil, the iconic Santuário de Cristo Rei shrine overlooks the Tejo River and was built as a symbol of gratitude as Portugal was spared from the damage and destruction of World War II. The 808 group arrived at our first Lisbon destination, and our Portugal expert and guide, Beatriz, took great care of us as we explored this beautiful city.
And our next stop is going to be by the monument of the Portuguese discoveries. It was made in 1940. This building represents the beginning of the Portuguese discoveries that started in 1415. The engineer that was chosen to make this monument, he was an architect and engineer, and he worked in theater. So he decided to make like a scenery depicting the most important characters in the Portuguese history. And especially up in the front, Henry the Navigator. Henry the Navigator, it is a son of the King of Portugal back in the day, 1415, and is the man who masterminded the Portuguese discoveries, the crossing of the oceans from Portugal all the way along the coast of Africa to India, and later on to the Southern America.
One interesting point, after the front lead position of Henry the Navigator, both the eastern and western faces of the structure feature different celebrated explorers, monarchs, artists, scientists, and missionaries on each side. Starting our Portugal adventures here at the Padrón dos Descubrimientos Monument of Discoveries was a great way to immerse ourselves in Portugal's rich history of exploration with the Non-Stop Travel group and our excellent guide, Beatriz. We headed to the giant mosaic compass at the base of the monument, which depicts a map that highlights the sailing routes of various celebrated Portuguese explorers.
And you will see, I will show where we have been. And this little country started the discoveries by going around the Portuguese coast in 1415 and coming here to Ceuta in the north of Africa, 1415. Later, we went to the Azores, Madeira, Cape Verde, and we went always along the coast. The real great navigator was the one who was able to round this part of the coast because the tides were really rough. And this guy was Bartolomeu Dias. Why do we talk about Vasco da Gama? Because Vasco da Gama, after we find a way to round this cape, we already know how to round all the others. And we get to India. And Vasco da Gama brought spices that made money. By 1498, Portugal, this tiny little country, has a huge empire, as you can see. And Spain also started to spread his empire. And then we decided that we're going to divide the world in two, because enough of fighting each other, let's fight someone else. We knew Brazil existed, and then we have the perfect conditions. We just sail across the pond, and we reach Rio de Janeiro on the year 1500 on the dot.
Next up, we headed to one of Portugal's most visited UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the Monastery de Geronimo, or the Geronimo's Church and Monastery. The 808 group got to take in the exquisite and intricate designs of the monastery's exterior while being treated to Coimbra University student performances. Beatriz, our guide, is a Coimbra alumnus. Fun fact, she explained that the 700-plus year university has a direct connection to the world of Harry Potter. Author and creator J.K. Rowling wrote the very first Harry Potter novel while living here in Portugal. Coimbra's student uniforms, white shirt, tie, sweater, dark pants, or skirts with a full cape were the inspiration for Harry and his fellow Hogwarts student uniforms as seen in the Harry Potter films.
And this monastery that we are going to visit now is built by the nephew of Henry the Navigator, King Manuel. He was actually the administrator of the Knights Templar, and at this moment they were called the Order of Christ.
Considered a masterpiece of Gothic architecture, as well as one of the 7 wonders here in Portugal, the Monastery de Geronimo, or Geronimo's Church and Monastery, is a monolithic symbol and tribute to Portugal's renaissance of overseas exploration. Built by King Manuel in 1502, the design of the church incorporates many carvings and elements that reflect the sea, celebrated explorers, as well as their journeys from the 15th to 17th centuries.
This building, we call it Geronimo's Monastery because it's dedicated to Saint Jerome, which is the patron saint of this King Manuel.
The wide open interior, high vaulted ceilings, intricate design, and sheer grand scale of the church and being able to experience such a significant historic site was a breathtaking moment for all in attendance. It's very befitting that the Geronimo's Monastery is the final resting place of celebrated explorer Vasco da Gama. The night before his history-changing expedition that led to the creation of a direct trade route with Asia, Vasco da Gama and his crew spent their last night here in Portugal praying here at this very church. As if the interior of the monastery wasn't impressive enough, we walked through the open passageways, of which every single inch of stonework features the most intricately carved patterns inspired by Portugal's seafaring exploration and expansion. The walkway opens up to a strikingly beautiful courtyard. The size and scale of the church and monastery and its fantastic architecture truly personify Portugal's success, wealth, and leading role in Europe's celebrated Age of Discovery. Our morning in Lisbon started off great, and by noon it got even better as we walked along the Cascais Promenade. The extremely blue skies and sea immediately reminded me of home. As there were so many options for shopping or dining during our free time here, our 808 group split up, and as luck would have it, I found what was arguably one of the best meals of this entire trip. The stars, sun, and seas aligned and pointed me to Ricardo, a very friendly, welcoming gourmet guide that introduced us to the glory of restaurant Checkers. The menu here at Checkers was massive, and our never-ending quest for good paella was still in effect, so that was the very first high-value target on our list.
Portuguese style. Yes. See?
Oh, there's a drink menu. Okay.
Oh yeah. Now the graduation of this good wine.
Portuguese wine, yeah.
All the Portuguese you are here, all you're gonna drink is a Portuguese wine. Up. Good man. Now here, like this. Yep. See the bubbles? This is a sparkling wine.
That's too much.
That is not too much. That is not too much.
He knows.
This is for you, sir. Aye. Now you take the bottle, I stay with the glass. Salute.
Salud.
See the happy face?
Oh, that's good.
Look the camera.
That is good.
For one much better, beautiful flower here.
Your favorite? What would be your favorite?
I would love to eat Robalo.
Rovano. Okay, what is this?
It's the sea bass.
Oh, okay. Potatoes and salad?
Grilled to perfection and lightly seasoned, these exquisite, flavorful, and fluffy fillets were the perfect gateway dish to what would eventually become an ethereal dining experience.
I buy the fish directly by the two fishers' boats here, straight in the Cascais, one of the fisher boats. That's why I am always in this house, fresh fish. Even in holidays, all the days I have fresh fish, but only two. Sea bass, golden bream, and myself. You guys see it, it's not from aquariums because they are not the same size. The aquariums even is exactly the same size. The fish from the sea, one is big, one is dark. But the taste of the head, if you taste the head, you see the real taste from the sea, the fish. The taste is on the bell and on the head. Wonderful. So you guys gonna eat a lovely sea bass from the sea, not from aquariums. Good choice. Enjoy, the best.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's pretty now. Here in Cascais, and this is the incredible restaurant Checkers, which is right next to the water. This is sea bass. Oh yeah, this is looking very, very nice. All right. Wow. Very good. Flaky. Flavor is wonderful. Portugal is leading the food battle here in this trip, let me tell you. That
Just right.
flavor is perfect. Yeah. Wow.
That's the best looking presentation I've ever seen of mussels.
The mexilhão à portuguesa, or Portuguese mussels, were a must. Clay and I couldn't figure out portion sizes, so we ordered multiples of everything just to be safe. Worst possible case is also the best possible case. Excellent leftovers for late night snacking back in our hotel rooms. The salada de polvo octopus salad was also a big hit. A very generous amount of octopus was seasoned perfectly with a tangy and creamy citrus oil vinegar blend. In hindsight though, I think we should have gotten one order per person, as that was a pretty difficult dish to share from a purely greedy standpoint. That was pretty hard.
Come on in, see what is coming now.
The main event, the Portuguese version of seafood paella, arroz de marisco, was the highlight here at Checkers. Probably the most generous portions of shellfish I've ever seen. Crab, shrimp, mussels, oysters, and clams sat in a perfect blend of peppers, herbs, tomatoes, and rice. Not too watery or soupy, and the shellfish's combined flavors, infused with all the other seasonings and ingredients, resulted in pure excellence, which is why it earned a spot on my all-time top 10 list of best things I've ever eaten on Doko Ga TV.
It's good, very, very, very good. Why you have a small plate? Why, sir?
Everything about this meal was pure perfection. As always, mahalo for tuning in to Doko Ga TV, and see you next week for part 3 of our Europe Mania Video Diary series.